In the stillness of the night, beneath the vast expanse of stars, there exists a chilling reality, one that eludes our understanding, yet compels us to confront it. It is a truth that lurks in the shadows of our minds, a deep-seated dread that transcends the mundane fears of everyday life. It is the terror of the unknown, of a universe so immense, so indifferent, that our existence seems nothing more than a fleeting blip in its grand, uncaring design. This is the heart of cosmic horror, a genre of horror that is not defined by monsters or gore, but by the horrifying realization that humanity is insignificant in the face of an endless, indifferent cosmos. This kind of horror doesn't rely on the grotesque or the supernatural. Instead, it thrives on the vastness of the unknown and our inability to comprehend it. The true terror of cosmic horror is the crushing weight of existential realization, the knowledge that the universe doesn't revolve around us, that we are mere specks in a cold, uncaring galaxy, and that our most profound beliefs, hopes, and dreams are ultimately insignificant in the grand scheme of things. At the heart of this philosophical terror stands one man, H.P. Lovecraft, a writer who through his vivid imagination and haunting tales crafted a universe where humanity is utterly powerless. Lovecraft's work challenges not just our perceptions of fear, but also of reality itself. His stories invite us into a world where the laws of nature are not only foreign, but unknowable, where the very act of understanding can be a path to madness. Why do Lovecraft's tales still captivate us, even in an age where scientific knowledge continues to expand and technology seems to conquer every frontier? What is it about this genre of horror, one that taps into the deep, existential void of our existence, that continues to resonate with the modern mind? It is because, deep down, we are all haunted by the same questions. Who are we in the grand cosmos? What purpose do we serve, if any? And perhaps most terrifying of all, are we truly alone in this vast, cold universe? Lovecraft's cosmic horror isn't just about fear. It is about understanding the nature of that fear. It isn't about avoiding death or the unknown. It's about confronting the staggering, overwhelming reality that we cannot ever fully know the universe. And that, in itself, is the most terrifying thought of all.
Howard Phillips Lovecraft, born in 1890, was a man whose own life seemed to mirror the themes of isolation, alienation, and disillusionment that would define his work. He was, in many ways, a stranger in his own world. Born into a family struggling with financial and emotional instability, Lovecraft's early years were marked by tragedy and loss. His father was institutionalized for insanity, and his mother, too, would later spend time in mental health care. This early exposure to mental illness and isolation would shape Lovecraft's perception of reality and human nature. Lovecraft never found a place where he truly belonged. His social anxiety and distrust of the modern world led him to retreat into the world of books and imagination. A self-taught scholar, he developed an early interest in classical literature, science, and the occult, all of which would later influence his writings. However, despite his vast intellectual pursuits, Lovecraft never received formal education or recognition in his lifetime. He lived much of his life in obscurity, struggling financially, and only gained fame posthumously. Yet it was in his solitude, away from the bustling cities and the world that seemed to reject him, that Lovecraft began to craft his dark, intricate mythos. His personal philosophy was one of cosmic pessimism, a belief that the universe is not only indifferent to human suffering, but that it is in fact a place of inherent chaos, filled with forces beyond human comprehension. His protagonists often reflect his own sense of helplessness, trapped in worlds where the answers to their most pressing questions only lead to more terrifying existential dread. Lovecraft's fear was not just the fear of death or evil, but a much deeper fear, the fear of realizing that humanity is insignificant, that our understanding of the universe is shallow, and that our belief in human agency is nothing but an illusion. This understanding of cosmic insignificance ran through every fiber of his writing. But perhaps Lovecraft's most profound fear was one of madness, the idea that the human mind, when faced with the vast unknown forces of the universe, could not withstand the revelation of its own powerlessness. Through his stories, Lovecraft gave form to these fears, creating monsters and gods that existed beyond human comprehension, beings that represented the chaotic, unfeeling universe itself. And in doing so, he captured a kind of madness, the kind that is born not from delusion, but from the terrifying realization of truth.
What makes Lovecraft's brand of horror so unique is its foundation in the philosophical notion of the unknown. While traditional horror genres rely on external threats, monsters, ghosts, or killers, cosmic horror is centered around the fear of what cannot be understood or explained. Lovecraft didn't craft monsters that could be defeated, nor did he create supernatural forces that could be tamed. Instead, he introduced beings and entities that exist beyond the realm of human understanding, their very existence defying the laws of nature and science as we know it. At the heart of Lovecraft's cosmic horror is a terrifying concept: the idea that our universe is vast, chaotic, and indifferent to human existence. In his stories, mankind is not the center of the universe, and our perceptions are limited. The more we understand the cosmos, the more we realize how little we know. The horror comes from the realization that our minds are not equipped to comprehend the true nature of the universe. This is a philosophy rooted in existential nihilism, the belief that life has no inherent meaning and the universe operates independently of human concerns. Lovecraft presents a terrifying universe where the laws of physics and time are not universal but relative. Space is not the final frontier, but a place teeming with beings and forces that humans could never fathom. The universe is indifferent, if not hostile, to human life. In his iconic stories like The Call of Cthulhu and At the Mountains of Madness, characters who come into contact with the forbidden knowledge of these entities are often driven to madness. The truth they uncover is too much for the human mind to process. What was once known as the known world becomes a mere illusion, a comforting lie that shields humanity from the raw, unfiltered reality of existence. This philosophical horror is not merely about the fear of death. It's about the terror of discovering that our lives, our thoughts, and our existence don't matter in the grand, cold universe. What makes this form of horror so compelling is that it taps into a universal fear, the fear of being inconsequential, of being nothing more than a blip in the vast, impersonal cosmos. And as Lovecraft's characters often learn the hard way, the more they seek the truth about the universe, the more they are confronted with the mind-shattering fact that what they understand is merely a tiny, insignificant fraction of an infinitely larger and more incomprehensible reality. This pursuit of knowledge becomes their undoing, as the unknown becomes not something to be conquered, but something that consumes their very sanity.
To understand the full scope of Lovecraft's cosmic horror, one must delve into his creations, the pantheon of entities and gods that populate his mythos. These beings are not merely the traditional monsters of horror fiction, they are godlike figures whose very existence transcends the human mind's capacity to comprehend. Through these entities, Lovecraft painted a terrifying picture of a universe in which humanity is not only powerless, but ultimately irrelevant. At the heart of Lovecraft's mythos is Cthulhu, the ancient cosmic entity whose very name has become synonymous with the genre of cosmic horror. But Cthulhu is not just a monster. It is a symbol of the unknown, a being whose true nature is beyond human comprehension. Cthulhu lies dormant beneath the ocean, waiting for the day when it will rise and reclaim the earth. But its power doesn't come from physical might alone. It lies in its ability to drive people mad with the mere knowledge of its existence. Those who encounter the idea of Cthulhu in Lovecraft's world are often consumed by visions, nightmares, and an overwhelming sense of dread. In this sense, Cthulhu embodies the horror of knowledge, the terrifying realization that some things are better left unknown. Alongside Cthulhu, Lovecraft introduces other, equally terrifying deities, each representing different aspects of cosmic fear. Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos, is a shape-shifting trickster who brings madness and destruction wherever it goes. Azathoth, the blind idiot god at the center of the universe, is a being whose existence is both random and incomprehensible, a metaphor for the absurdity and meaninglessness of the universe itself. Yog-Sothoth, the all-in-one and one-in-all, exists outside of time and space, an entity whose very nature defies the logic of the human mind. These entities are not simply evil. They are beyond good and evil, beyond morality itself. They are simply forces of nature, indifferent and unstoppable. Lovecraft's mythos is not just a collection of fantastical creatures, it is a reflection of the universe as he saw it, vast, cold, and indifferent. The beings in his stories do not exist for the sake of human suffering or for the purpose of malicious intent. They exist because they do, because the universe itself is governed by forces beyond the scope of human understanding. For Lovecraft, the true horror was not that these entities wanted to destroy humanity, but that they were completely indifferent to its existence. They existed long before humans and would continue to exist long after humanity had faded from memory. Their existence was not centered on human concerns or values. They simply existed in their own incomprehensible way. Lovecraft's portrayal of these entities reveals the true nature of cosmic horror. The universe is not a place where humans are significant, nor is it a place where we have any meaningful control. In a universe populated by such beings, humanity is not at the center. It is merely a fleeting phenomenon, one of countless others that will come and go without any lasting significance. The horror is not the monster lurking in the shadows, but the realization that the universe itself is indifferent to our existence, and that we are powerless in the face of it. At the core of Lovecraft's work lies a psychological truth that resonates deeply with the human experience: the fear of the unknown. This is not a fear born out of personal threats or physical harm, but rather a deeper existential anxiety, the fear of confronting something so vast, so incomprehensible, that our minds simply cannot process it. Lovecraft's cosmic horror taps into a primal fear that lies dormant within all of us, the terror of realizing that the universe is not made for us, that we are not the center of existence, and that everything we know may ultimately be an illusion. Human beings are wired to seek patterns, to find meaning in the chaos of the world. This desire for understanding gives us a sense of control over our lives and the world around us. It is what allows us to survive, to build societies, and to create systems of belief that make the universe seem less daunting. But what happens when those systems begin to break down? What happens when the very foundation of human understanding crumbles and we are left with the realization that there are forces and realities far beyond our grasp? This is the psychological terror that Lovecraft explored in his work. In his stories, characters often come to face with a reality that shatters their understanding of the world. They encounter things that defy logic, beings that are not bound by the same laws of physics, and truths that are far too terrifying to comprehend. As they struggle to make sense of these revelations, they are driven to madness, not because of what they have seen, but because of the realization that their minds were never meant to grasp such knowledge. Lovecraft's protagonists are often intellectuals, scientists, scholars, and researchers, people whose very profession is dedicated to seeking knowledge. Yet, in the face of the cosmic horror they uncover, their intellects prove to be inadequate. The more they learn, the more they realize how little they truly know, and this paradox drives them toward insanity. Lovecraft's cosmic horror is therefore a reflection of the human condition itself. We are all, in a sense, seeking knowledge, trying to understand our place in the universe. But what if that understanding leads us to a truth that is far too unsettling to bear? The fear Lovecraft explores is not just about encountering monsters or strange creatures. It is about the profound fear that the universe is far beyond our comprehension. It is about the terror of confronting a reality that operates according to rules and forces that we cannot even begin to understand. This fear of the unknown also taps into another deep-seated anxiety, the fear of meaninglessness. If the universe is truly indifferent to human life, if our existence has no greater purpose, then what does that say about us as individuals? Lovecraft's stories force us to confront this uncomfortable truth that we are not the center of the universe, that our lives are but a fleeting moment in the grand timeline of existence, and that we may never truly understand our place in the cosmos. In this way, Lovecraft's cosmic horror is not just an exploration of external fears, but of internal, psychological fears. It is a reflection of our deepest anxieties about existence, about meaning, and about the limitations of our understanding. The true horror of Lovecraft's world is not the monstrous entities that inhabit it, but the realization that we as humans are fundamentally unprepared for the vast, indifferent universe that surrounds us.
While Lovecraft's tales were born in the early 20th century, his exploration of cosmic horror has grown increasingly relevant in the modern world. Today, we face a new set of existential crises, and the fears Lovecraft articulated in his work seem to echo more loudly in the face of our technological, environmental, and societal uncertainties. Lovecraft's horrors were not just fictional, they were a reflection of humanity's greatest and most uncomfortable truths. And as our world evolves, his themes continue to resonate deeply. In the age of rapid technological advancement, we've begun to push the boundaries of knowledge and power that Lovecraft feared would drive us mad. The digital age, the exploration of outer space, artificial intelligence, and the quest to unravel the deepest secrets of the universe all serve as modern parallels to the existential dangers Lovecraft warned against. We are advancing at a pace that often outstrips our ability to understand the full implications of our actions. Just as Lovecraft's characters sought knowledge only to find themselves consumed by it, we too find ourselves on the brink of understanding realities that may be more than we can handle. Take, for example, the search for extraterrestrial life. Lovecraft's work often touched on the concept of ancient, alien gods, beings that exist outside of human comprehension, and whose existence challenges the very notion of humanity's place in the universe. Today, scientists are attempting to make contact with alien civilizations, and the prospect of discovering extraterrestrial life holds the potential to upend everything we know about our existence. But what if the truth is far more unsettling than we imagine? What if the universe is not filled with friendly civilizations, but with entities as indifferent and alien as those described by Lovecraft? The search for meaning in the cosmos could, in some ways, mirror the horror Lovecraft portrayed, the terrifying realization that we are not the center of anything.
Likewise, the rapid advancements in artificial intelligence present us with another existential dilemma. As we create more sophisticated machines, we are faced with questions about consciousness, free will, and the nature of intelligence. Are we building something that will surpass human capability? And if so, what will that mean for our role in the world? Lovecraft's fears of the unknown and the uncontrollable resonate here too. Just as his characters encountered forces they could not control, we may soon be dealing with creations that we cannot fully understand or predict. And just as Lovecraft's protagonists were overwhelmed by the cosmic entities they faced, we too may find ourselves overwhelmed by the consequences of our own inventions. Another parallel to Lovecraft's work can be found in the environmental crises we face today. The ongoing destruction of our planet, from climate change to biodiversity loss, speaks to the same indifference Lovecraft described in his universe. The Earth, like the cosmic entities in his stories, does not care for human survival or well-being. Our actions have set in motion irreversible changes, and we are left to grapple with the fact that we cannot stop or undo the damage we have caused. The more we learn about the fragility of our environment, the more we come to realize just how powerless we are in the face of the planet's vast, uncontrollable forces. In all of these modern dilemmas, Lovecraft's cosmic horror becomes a mirror for our own anxieties. His work provides a framework through which we can process the uncomfortable truth that no matter how much we advance, no matter how much knowledge we gain, we are still subject to forces far beyond our control. The universe is indifferent to our existence, and our pursuit of meaning and understanding may ultimately lead us to the same terrifying realization that Lovecraft's characters faced, that the more we know, the less we truly understand. Lovecraft's cosmic horror, then, is not just a genre of fiction. It is a lens through which we can view the modern existential crises we face today. It challenges us to confront the uncomfortable truths about our place in the universe, and it forces us to ask, if we cannot control the forces that shape our world, how can we ever hope to understand them?
Despite the deeply unsettling nature of his work, H.P. Lovecraft's legacy has only grown stronger with time. His cosmic horror has evolved from a niche genre into a cornerstone of modern horror and speculative fiction. What began as a collection of short stories and obscure writings has transformed into a cultural phenomenon, influencing countless writers, filmmakers, game designers, and philosophers. But what is it about Lovecraft's work that continues to captivate audiences, even decades after his death? Perhaps one of the most enduring aspects of Lovecraft's legacy is the philosophical depth that underpins his stories. While other forms of horror focus on visceral fear, Lovecraft's brand of terror is intellectual, an exploration of humanity's insignificance in the face of an uncaring universe. His stories are not merely designed to frighten, they are designed to provoke deep thought about the nature of existence, the limits of human knowledge, and the fragility of the mind when confronted with an overwhelming truth. In this way, Lovecraft's horror transcends the page, tapping into the very core of human existential anxiety. As modern society has become more aware of existential risks, whether through the threat of nuclear war, climate change, or the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence, the themes in Lovecraft's work have taken on a new relevance. The fear of the unknown, the terror of realizing humanity's powerlessness in the face of a vast and indifferent universe, seems more pertinent than ever. Lovecraft's exploration of the fragility of the human mind, which is often driven mad by the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, mirrors the psychological toll that modern anxieties have on individuals today. The sense of cosmic insignificance he wrote about reflects the deep-seated fear that many of us feel as we confront an increasingly chaotic and unpredictable world. Lovecraft's influence extends beyond the horror genre. His ideas about the cosmos, knowledge, and human existence have inspired a wide range of intellectual discussions. Philosophers and scholars have delved into his works, examining the connections between his fiction and existential philosophy, particularly the works of Nietzsche and Camus. Lovecraft's mythos, with its complex pantheon of gods and beings that exist beyond human comprehension, challenges traditional ideas of divinity, morality, and human exceptionalism, pushing readers to reconsider their beliefs about the nature of the universe. In popular culture, Lovecraft's impact is seen in the rise of films, television shows, video games, and even tabletop role-playing games that explore themes of cosmic horror. Movies like The Thing, Annihilation, and The Void all reflect Lovecraftian influences, as do video games like Bloodborne and The Call of Cthulhu. These works borrow from Lovecraft's mythos and philosophy, using his ideas to create worlds where humanity faces terrifying, often incomprehensible forces beyond its control. Yet Lovecraft's legacy is not without controversy. His deeply problematic personal views, particularly his racist ideologies, have sparked significant debate in recent years. Many of his stories are steeped in prejudices that are difficult to ignore, and these aspects of his character have led to a re-evaluation of his work in modern times. Still, despite these flaws, his contribution to literature and philosophy remains undeniable. His influence continues to shape the horror genre, and his unique brand of terror, an intellectual horror that challenges the very foundation of human knowledge, has left an indelible mark on both fiction and thought. Lovecraft's work, while born from fear, has evolved into something far more powerful, a fascinating exploration of humanity's place in the universe. His cosmic horror has sparked a conversation that stretches beyond the confines of literature and film, encouraging individuals to confront their deepest fears about existence, knowledge, and the unknown. As we continue to grapple with the unknowns of our own time, Lovecraft's work offers a dark, intellectual refuge, a place where we can examine our existential fears and, perhaps, in doing so, come to terms with the unsettling reality that we are, in fact, insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
As we conclude our journey through the dark, unfathomable realms of H.P. Lovecraft's cosmic horror, we are left with more questions than answers. Lovecraft's work forces us to confront the terrifying truth that the universe is not a place designed for human comfort or understanding. It is a vast, indifferent expanse where our existence is but a fleeting moment, a blip in the cosmic timeline, inconsequential and temporary. In this horrifying realization, Lovecraft presents a paradox. The more we seek knowledge and understanding, the more we risk unraveling our sanity. The true horror of Lovecraft's universe is not the presence of monsters or eldritch gods, but the awareness that humanity is powerless in the face of these forces. Our minds, fragile and limited, are ill-equipped to comprehend the vastness of existence, and the pursuit of truth, when confronted with the cosmic unknown, may very well lead to madness. Lovecraft's characters often discover this in the worst way possible, through a maddening encounter with the unknowable, a truth too vast and incomprehensible for human minds to process. And yet, despite the bleakness of his philosophy, there is a strange allure to Lovecraft's cosmic horror. Perhaps it is because, in the face of the terrifying unknown, there is a certain freedom. By accepting the universe's indifference, we are freed from the burden of seeking meaning where there is none. We can relinquish the need for control, for answers, and embrace the beauty of uncertainty. In doing so, we may find peace, or at least a sense of acceptance in the vast emptiness that surrounds us. Lovecraft's work challenges us not only to confront the horror of the unknown, but also to examine our place within that unknown. It forces us to ask, if the universe is indeed vast and indifferent, then what does that mean for our lives? Does it strip our existence of meaning, or does it free us to create our own meaning, knowing that we are but a small part of a much larger and incomprehensible whole? In a world filled with existential threats, from the environmental crisis to the rise of artificial intelligence, Lovecraft's cosmic horror has never been more relevant. His works are not just a glimpse into an imagined universe, they are a mirror to our own fears, anxieties, and the unsettling realization that we may never fully understand the forces that govern our existence. But perhaps in this mystery, there lies an opportunity for growth, for reflection, and for the kind of philosophical engagement that Lovecraft so deeply valued. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, Lovecraft's cosmic horror reminds us of a fundamental truth, that the unknown is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. In embracing the unknown, we acknowledge our own limitations, and in doing so, we may find a kind of freedom. A freedom that allows us to live not in defiance of the universe, but in acceptance of its vast, indifferent power. In the end, perhaps the true horror of Lovecraft's work is not in the creatures and gods that populate his stories, but in the challenge it presents to our perception of reality itself. The question is not whether we can conquer the unknown, but whether we can come to terms with it and find meaning within its shadow.